colleagues, chers collègues, the last time I was in this chair, there were a number of questions which were not relevant to the administration of government. There were words which fall outside of what's acceptable in a parliamentary parliamentary system, and there was behaviour, which was also outside of the parliamentary traditions. I'm hoping I will have more to say about this in the coming days, but I hope that members will conduct themselves in a manner that is befitting of our constituents who have sent us here to represent them.
She can tell all the people lining up at food banks that they've never had it so good, and she knows that prices are not coming down. She also knows that her carbon tax won't stop a single forest fire or flood. They've admitted that. So Canadians get the brutal double whammy of all the extra costs associated with natural disasters, plus the carbon tax on top of it. And now the NDP leader is trying to pull off another stunt. He's trying to fool Canadians that he's got some new position on the carbon tax. In reality, he loves it. He's voted for it 24 times. If they're so sure that Canadians love their carbon tax, why don't they take it to the Canadian people and let them decide in a carbon tax election?
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, all these Conservatives know how to do is talk Canada down. And you know why that is? It's because they don't want Canadians to ask themselves what the Conservatives really stand for. Right. That's because the Conservatives have a hidden agenda. Yes. They have a hidden austerity agenda. And it is time for us all to ask ourselves, what would they cut? Would they cut childcare? I think so. Would they cut dental care? I think so. Would they cut our housing plan? There she would. Yeah.
The Honourable Member from Regina Capel.
It's Canadians who are cutting back as they've seen their paychecks devalued and prices skyrocket. But it's not just the carbon tax that the NDP and Liberals are hiking. The new tax hike that the government is announcing today will hit the middle class hard. In the middle of a housing crisis, they're raising taxes on carpenters and roofers. In fact, the Canadian Federation of Apartment Associations said this, quote, "The capital gains increase will discourage the construction of new rental homes for Canadians." Why is the government's response to the housing crisis punishing the people who actually build the homes?
Right.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I am really glad to hear the Conservatives talk about housing, because last week we made a very important announcement on housing. Last week we announced that amortizations for first-time home buyers and everyone buying new builds will be extended to 30 years. That is going to help young Canadians make the dream of home ownership a reality, and it will get more homes built faster. And I am shocked that the Conservatives are opposed to this essential measure.
$100 for a doctor's appointment. For-profit corporations like Loblaws are forcing patients to pay to see a doctor. Now, the Conservatives love this because their chief strategist, Jenny Byrne, also doubles as a chief lobbyist for Loblaws. The Liberals promised a crackdown. That turned out to be a letdown. Why does the Liberal government continue to let big corporations rip off Canadians and stop defending and not defend our healthcare system?
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the NDP had a choice. Continue working on pharmacare, continue working on dental, continue working to improve our health system, or to cave to a bully. And here's the facts, Mr. Speaker. If the NDP can't stand up to the Conservative leader, then how are they going to stand up for Canadians? The reality is we're going to keep fighting to improve our healthcare system and work on the basis of collaboration. We're not going to cave to the bullying of the Conservatives across the way, and we're going to make sure that every Canadian gets dental care, pharmacare, and yes, to make sure that we revolutionize primary care.
L'honorable député de Burnaby Sud.
The Liberals have caved again and again to big corporations that are ripping off Canadians, and they've not stood up to the Conservatives.
Well, I'll tell you what week is, Mr. Speaker. Week is 2 days after the Conservative leader demands you stop action to work with the government to help Canadians on health care to run away. You know what else is weak? To abandon climate action when the Conservative leader puts too much pressure on you. And I think Canadians should ask if the NDP is willing to stand up for them if they can't stand up to the Conservative leader. I will say to you that we are here each and every day to make sure that Canadians get what they need, to stand up for our public health care system, and to make sure the Conservatives don't get what they want, which is to cut to the bone our health system.
Exactly.